Of the Unicorn, Chapter 17, Jaws of Steel. Pearl soon realized that she wasn't watching a star falling from the sky. It was a light, and someone was holding it. She darted behind a tree trunk. Her heart pounded as she tried to figure out what to do. She knew instinctively that she had to hide from whatever was coming her way. She tucked her flashlight hand under her lab coat. Leaning against the tree, she peered around the trunk. The light moved steadily toward the ground. Tree bark pressed into Pearl's cheek. She wished Ben were standing next to her. 2 against 1 was always better odds. As it neared, the light grew too bright to look at. Pearl squinted, allowing her pupils to adjust. Then the light landed. A man stood a few yards away. He held a small lamp in his right hand, a leather bag in his left, and strapped to his back was a huge moth the size of a dog. Together they had glided down into the dark forest, as silent as a leaf falling from a tree. Fear can make the entire body shake. It can turn the stomach to stone and cause thoughts to go all jumbled. So Pearl tried very hard not to be afraid. What she knew was this: Maximus Steel hunted creatures, not people. There was no reason why he'd hurt her. The flesh-eaters and the Kelpie were much more dangerous. But even so, she thought it would be best to remain hidden. The man set the lamp and the bag on the ground. Then he unstrapped the moth, but kept it tethered to a rope which he tied around a tree. The moth panted with its furry mouth. Its wings went limp, falling on the ground like crumpled sheets. The lantern's glow illuminated the man's body, which was tall and thin. His pants were tucked into a pair of boots, and a knife hung from his belt. Because a pith helmet shaded his face, she couldn't get a good look at his features. He crouched, then removed something from his backpack. Lantern light reflected off the object's metallic surface. Pearl clenched her jaw. It was the same kind of trap Maximus Steel had used to catch the rain dragon, only much smaller. He set it on the ground. Dr. Wu's story swept through Pearl's mind. Images of a boy playing a tuba, telling jokes, laughing. Now he was sneaking through a forest, laying a trap to catch a unicorn. Pearl wanted to tell him to stop. She wanted to free the poor, tired moth. Maximus Steel was pure evil. Turn around, she thought, hoping to see his face so she'd know him if she ever ran into him again. But he kept his back to her as he pulled open the sharp teeth of the trap. It clicked into place, like the jaws of a shark waiting to feed. The sound echoed through the forest. Uh-oh. A rumbling arose in the distance. With calm and steady hands, Maximus untied the moth and strapped it to his back. Then he picked up the lantern and bag. Without a word, he jabbed the moth with his elbow. It unfurled its wings and began to flap gracefully, silently carrying them upward until they vanished into the cloud ceiling. The rumbling grew louder. Holding out her flashlight hand, Pearl hurried to the trap. The man's initials, MS, were etched into the metal. With her free hand, she picked up a fallen branch and shoved it into the open jaw. As the razor-sharp teeth snapped around the wood, a clang ran out. Would Maximus return, thinking he'd caught his prey? The forest floor trembled as the rumbling closed in. Pearl didn't know in which direction to run. Was there time to climb one of the trees? She spun around. White shapes charged toward her, their petals snapping wildly. The flesh-eaters had pulled the roots from the ground. They were using them like legs. Just in time, Pearl leaped behind a tree. The carnivorous plants ran straight for the trap, the source of the noise. Then they attacked. They flung it around and stomped on it until there was nothing left but mangled bits of metal. Then, as the forest grew silent once again, they tucked their roots back into the ground, closed their petals, and waited for their next meal. This place was getting creepier by the minute. Pearl took off, running deeper and deeper into the forest, forgetting about leaving a trail of yarn. When her side began to ache, she stopped. There'd been no more white hair, no signs at all that the foal had come this way. Pearl sank onto a rock, trying to catch her breath. Had she failed? Would Maximus find the lost unicorn before she did? Tears stung the corners of her eyes. She wanted to go back, but she couldn't leave the foal all alone in this evil place. Poor little thing. How could she call out to it without making any noise? She couldn't whistle or snap her fingers. The slightest sound would alert those nasty plants. And possibly Maximus Steele, too. How could Pearl summon the unicorn? Then she had an interesting idea. The path had opened because she'd gotten rid of her negative thoughts. Maybe in this darkest of dark places, the unicorn's path would also open with positive thoughts. It was worth a shot. Pearl closed her eyes and cleared up all the scary pictures from her mind. She conjured the things that made her feel warm and safe: fluffy pancakes, birds' nests, leprechaun slippers, hot cocoa, her parents tucking her in at night.